Hello, and welcome to another update on Bitcoin. I'm here currently on the daily time frame, and while there isn't really much new stuff to talk about, which is absolutely fine, Bitcoin is simply following currently here the roadmap. We've had a bounce of support. We're now moving towards that resistance area I shared with you already end of last week, which is between $115,425 and $120,400. Remember, if we activate the VRVP indicator, then you can see that this is an area where there is a lot of interest historically, around 118,500. I will also share the liquidation heat map a little later today, probably on X. So if you want to see that and see the interpretation, how it fits into this bigger picture here, make sure you follow us on X as well. But overall, the wave structures here tell us already which resistance area is going to be relevant this week. Again, it's between $115,425 and $120,400. Now, you might have heard, and that is going to be important or interesting, not necessarily this week, but okay, maybe it is interesting this week because it's like the narrative, right, that's going to drive this week. It is that the Fed interest rate decision in 9 days. I've got it actually here on the other browser, but yeah, that is the Fed Watch tool, which is normally very accurate. Look, 9 days, to the next interest rate decision. I know that's not this week, that's next week, but people talk about it all week. Okay, and then when it's finally done, right, and we've got that event over with, then hopefully the markets can move in normal ways again. But yeah, basically 100% so-called. I mean, there's never 100%, but okay, according to this tool, there's a 100% chance for an interest rate reduction. I mean, current target rate is 425 to 450 basis points, and that we get 25 basis point reduction. It's a 90% chance, and a basic 10% chance for a 50 basis point reduction. That could indeed increase volatility if that actually happens, because the market hasn't really priced it in yet so much. But I would say most market participants actually expect a 90%. The 90% chance is what most people follow, like the 25 basis point interest rate, funds rate reduction, right? So is this actually bullish? I mean, maybe short term it can lead to some movements. Yeah, it can spark some greed. But really, I mean, I'm extremely careful with interest rates, and people ask me all the time what my view is, and I say I'm normally follow the Fed Watch tool because it's so accurate and they have all the data. But then people ask me, do you think that price will go up because of this? And the answer is not so straightforward. I normally just follow the wave structures, right? We follow the price charts and the indicators I shared with you over recent days, weeks. I share with you a lot of additional indicators in addition to what we're tracking here on the price chart. So overall, there are still two pathways for higher prices, as explained over the last few days, right? So, for example, we could take the direct path or a slightly more extended pathway here in this correction before we go higher. So there are still two ways how the market could, behave bullish, right, and follow higher prices. In terms of the funds rate, I mean, if we look at what historically, Bitcoin has done when the Fed has increased or decreased the interest rate, the funds rate, it's not that straightforward. It's easy to assume a correlation here. If you look at the data after 2015, what you see on this chart is basically the Fed funds rate. Not just basically, you see it. And people might say, well, okay, look, in red, that's the funds rate. It's always a corridor, right? There's an upper and a lower one. So that's the funds rate, and it's gone up between it did go up between 2015, right, and 2019. And, well, Bitcoin kind of followed, right? Okay. And then it was and then the market dipped, obviously, at some point. But again, it started to dip when the funds rate was still going up. So that's not really indicative of, price has to go up when the funds rate goes up. That's not always the case, right? Now you can say that here the reduction into the 2020 lows has helped Bitcoin broadly, but then actually there was a strong move down between 2019 and 2020 on the Bitcoin chart, right? Then you could say that the zero funds rate has helped Bitcoin and other risk assets. That's right. But then look, when the rates went up, okay, yeah, Bitcoin went down, but then Bitcoin started the bull market when the rates went up again. So, or were still going up. So I think we see a lot of mixed data here. And I just don't think that really interest rates have such an impact here on the Bitcoin price, okay? They really don't. I mean, the data is showing it. See, just to highlight a few examples, I mean, just from the 2022 low, I remember when the Elliott Wave structures told us we were here at a low in 2022. Yeah, close to a low or at the low already. Yeah, I think I was already watching for the low earlier in 2022. I remember that. Then there was one more low. But from an Elliott Wave point of view, those who've been following my work, for a long time know that people were baffled when the bear market started. Elliott Waves told us very, very quickly. You guys know that if you've been here 2021, they told us very, very quickly. People couldn't understand it, believe it. Rates were still down, but the bear market started. Yeah, and we like dropped 50% or what, while the interest rates were still zero. And so we started a bull market when the rates were going up. And people were like, you can't, there's never going to be a bull market when the rates go up. I remember that. I can probably find a lot of these posts on YouTube if I really wanted to, in the comment section from the videos back then. It's all on YouTube. And so, again, I think the takeaway is, don't just blindly follow social media narratives. People always will say on X, influencers will say on X that, the rates go down, Bitcoin has to go up. And they try to make you bullish. They try to spark emotions. It just doesn't sell very well if you actually follow the real data sometimes. That's why they don't show you this chart, right? They just highlight the narrative, just repeat it. And then people are always surprised when I show them the data or explain that I'm not so convinced, but the data shows it, right? And then you see it even here, rates have gone down since 2024, but Bitcoin has just continued to go up. So it's not really, has it really had have an impact, right? I mean, again, maybe indirectly, it's what you cannot automatically assume is that Bitcoin will just keep climbing if rates go down, I think. And that's the main takeaway. Don't just blindly follow narratives. Yeah, focus on price. And we can use this here as a macro guide, macro indicator, absolutely. But this does not. You cannot just assume that the bull market will continue indefinitely just if the Fed reduces rates. That does not work. Okay, bull markets end, as we've seen many, many times, also in environments in which the rates are extremely low. As you know, 2021, those were, price kind of ended. And then, I mean, even here, look, early in 2021, the price really pushed only marginally higher, end of 2021. And this was like halfway through the zero interest rate cycle, right? So that was really only a marginally higher high. So yeah, it's not going to fuel new money all the time. So again, bottom line, stay critical, follow price. But obviously, this is still something interesting to know about, because most people will, most of you guys are informed. I mean, I'm not telling you something new, most of you. But a lot of people just follow their favorite influencer on X, and they just believe what they say, and then they just just assume, rates are going to go down, so I'm gonna go all in now. Well, which is completely the wrong way. You have to still focus on risk levels, price, and everything, right? So looking here at the short-term chart for Bitcoin, we've pushed a little bit, but we haven't really broken resistance. So the resistance and support levels that I shared with you on Friday for the weekend, they are still relevant. So we have micro support between $108,570 and $110,310. Resistance is $111,500 to $112,770. This is a micro resistance zone. We need to break above resistance or below support to get an idea of what the market wants to do. Just really trying to identify nanostructures best I can tell you is that this move up looks like a micro 5-wave move up we have seen into the Sunday high, 3-wave move down. And again, that is not necessarily that was not necessarily a very clear 1-2 setup, but with this push higher, it looks a little bit as if a third could be unfolding, and then we might grind higher like this. But this doesn't really, this is just nanostructures. We are on the 30-minute chart here. The levels are more important. So once we break above 112,770, I think it will become more clear that the price tries to break up. And if we get another dip into support, it would simply be an extension of this B wave. Yeah, that wouldn't really change much. We just, as long as we're moving between support and resistance, there is literally just noise. That's the update on Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. I also invite you to join us on X for additional updates, chart updates, news, macro updates. Check it out. Lots of indicators. You can follow us here. The link is in the description and in the comment section. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.